Hey guys, Matt here from Warhead. So what we got here is one of our Warhead 4-seat Pro XP turbos. A little stress trail riding, have a little incident here with the lower A-arm. So we're just gonna walk you through step by step, real quick, how to replace a bad A-arm or an upgraded A-arm if you choose to do so on a Pro XP. Whether it's a 2-seat or 4-seat, it's gonna be the same method, pretty quick. Whole job should take less than 30 minutes. So let's dive on in. All right guys, so what we got here, we got our layout for the lower A-arm change. Got our new lower A-arm. Got our socket for our lug nuts. That's gonna be for the lug nuts. 18 mil socket and wrench. That's the inner lower A-arm bolts, you'll need that. And then a 15 socket and wrench to disconnect where the ball joint slides into the hub. Couple of Milwaukee impacts, new tie rod components, and we'll start off with the wheel and get to it. All right guys, we got our old A-arm out, the lower here. So we're gonna quick take out the bushings and the ball joint. We're gonna see if the ball joint's reusable, otherwise we'll just press a new one in. So we'll get to that, we'll go over to the press, get these all set up, get the new lower A-arm assembled and put her back in, and then we'll address the tie rod over here. All right, so we're gonna take this tie rod off here. You can see it's got a bow to it. We'll show you once it's off how bad it got bent when this all slid back. 18 millimeter nut on the bottom, and then up by the rack, we'll go in and cut the zip tie, get in there with a crescent wrench and break that free. All right guys, so here's what we got. Got the old tie rod out. You can see right here, side by side, bent right on the intersection. Probably could reuse the outer section, but we actually got a new one here. So we're just gonna disassemble it here, take the nut off, put this together. I'm gonna set it to about the same thread length that the old one currently was for my starting point, and then once we're all back together, we'll put it on the ground and make sure the toe is good. So one thing to pay attention to here, you got reverse threads. So when you're breaking these apart, make sure you're aware of that, not that you're sitting there tightening them the whole time and getting frustrated. So I got my nut set pretty close to where it was on the original one before it broke. So we'll just use that as our starting point. We're gonna leave this somewhat loose. Like I said, we'll bolt it up. And then once it's on the ground, we'll check it for toe. So one thing we wanna do guys, before we reassemble the inner to the outer tie rod, we wanna put our boot back on, start this end and slide it forward. You try going over the joint here, it's not gonna be fun. So we'll just stick this through and then run her all the way up just over that. And then when we have our snap ring here, and we'll just slide that back on. So while we're doing our suspension replacement here, we found this upper A-arm here. As you can see, it's bent here, a little stressed here. You can always tell when the powder coatings pop like this, it just flakes right off. So what we're gonna do now, we got our new one right over here, color matched. We already transferred over the bushings where the mounting locations are. Next, we're gonna get the ball joint out, check it out, probably put a new one inside here, and then we'll get right back to it and start doing the reassembly. So we got our ball joint pressed into our new A-arm. We're gonna take our snap ring here, little snap ring pliers, and just put our retaining clip on and keep it in there. So over the top, little squeeze. First try. We got our new A-arms ready for reassembly. Ball joints are in, bushings are in. So we're gonna start the reassembly process. I typically start with the lower A-arm. I'm gonna bolt that in, set the bearing carrier into the ball joint, and then work my way up from there. It's a pretty simple task. Just reverse the process when you disassembled it. Watch the video and it'll be good times. All right, so we got our 2 bolts in the mounting. We got our ball joint bolt in. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten these up, and then we'll move on to the upper. All right, so we got our new tie rod. If you remember from the beginning, the end here was bent pretty good. So we got the new shaft on, new end in, and now we're gonna put it back into the steering rack. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna put the sway bar link into the upper A-arm. 1 bolt right here, link it all back together, and then we're gonna drop this shot guy down into this hole. And then after that, we got ball joint, tie rod, cinch her up, put the brakes back on, put the wheel back on, and then we'll do an alignment on her since we had to do replace the tie rod. All right, guys, I want to thank you for checking out our video. We got Warhead Orange back in commission, upper lower A-arm replacement, tie rod replacement. Any tips or tricks you guys are looking for, feel free to hit us up on Facebook, Instagram. On the website, we have a message link. Don't hesitate to hit us up there. Ask us any questions you need for advice. Be sure to stay tuned. We got an RS1 that we're doing a nice custom build on. Got a lot of cool accessories going in that, so we're gonna do the same thing, break it down into segments, video each operation that we're doing, explain to you why we're doing it. So tune in next time, guys. Thanks for checking this one out.
Honeydew is garbage fruit.